Hey guys, today's video has been what feels like a long time coming. And I've wanted to do a decluttering video for quite some time, but I've decided to do it a little differently than what I originally planned and what I originally envisioned it to be. As you may know, I've been on a little bit of a trip, and it's been something that I've been sharing with you, and I've went through a process that I think was a little bit of an awakening for me. And every year for about 6 years, without fail, I have had these really strange feelings that for the longest time I thought just to be a really low bout of depression, because depression and anxiety is something that I've suffered with in the past. But I've only now come to realize and to see them and understand them as something called existential crisis. It's something that maybe you should have a bit of a Google of if you're unfamiliar with the term, or maybe if you've been feeling something similarly, or maybe you have these feelings that you can't quite explain. Google an existential crisis. So my most recent one brought about a real recalibration and led me to clear out almost 50% of my belongings. I am not by any means a luxury minimalist, or I am not by any means becoming a luxury minimalist. Well, I have no plans to, but I think what I've learned about life is most of my biggest realizations weren't planned. It's not like I just woke up one morning and said, right, this is the day. I'm going to grow up and evolve. Today, the 3rd of March, 2020, at 1:05 p.m. I think for years before now, I was afraid to clear out, and I was afraid to declutter. I used to reason with myself it was because I'm a Cancer and I'm very sentimental, which probably is part of that. I mean, I'm sure part of that might be true, but I think what it really came down to was I felt better and I felt more like me, and I felt just like a better person with excess possessions. And I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up with much, but somewhere along the way, I fell into a world and a version of myself that felt a real high from spending and collecting and shopping and spending money and buying. And what I see now is I was scared to own less. And I was scared of who I was, really. I was scared of not being enough for you and not being enough for this community. You know, I set out on YouTube to create luxury fashion content and to be a voice for you in this community, to inspire you. And I was scared that if I owned less, who was I? And I was scared that I was going to disappoint you and I was going to not be enough for you and not be enough for myself. It was what I see now as a very ego-driven version of myself that I don't feel like I recognize anymore. And once your brain has been stretched to new dimensions, it's really hard to return back to those original dimensions. And it's kind of like fitting a circle into a square or a square into a circle. I tried for so long to just push these feelings aside, but it's just, I don't recognize that person anymore. And it's actively a person that I don't want to be, because I feel like I may be one $15,000 luxury shopping spree away, or a week's worth of binging luxury YouTubers and viewing their content away from falling back there. And I don't want to be back there, and I don't want to live there anymore. I like my brain better when I'm not there. And this decluttering for me feels like just one piece of that puzzle of bringing myself closer to my true self, my true values and what I stand for and what it means to be me. And one step of that was to downsize and curate an area of my life that was a really important area and part of my life for a really long time. I feel a greater sense of clarity, and I'm not sure if you can see it in my face in some of these clips, but if you can see it, moving on some of these pieces felt really hard for me in the moment, because as someone who spent a good few years of their life showcasing items on the internet and chasing an influencer lifestyle, I put a lot of myself into these items, and in some ways I felt maybe I tied a part of myself to these items and this identity. And to move these items on really felt like I was stepping into myself and shedding layers. And sometimes shedding layers is scary, and being this vulnerable with you guys is scary. But looking back on this footage and reflecting on a lot of the clear out that didn't make it on camera and that you didn't get to see is quite eye-opening to where I was mentally for a really long time. And to see the excess consumption surrounding me, I mean, I'm sitting here and I estimate it's got to be in the thousands. I mean, if not the tens of thousands. And that's just scratching the surface of what I've spent on fashion and what I've spent on material over the last, 3, 5, 6 years. The excess, the consumption, the wasteful nature, and it astounds me now to look at it. And I look at it all in a different light to how I used to see it. To me, I used to see this excess and this level of consumption as aspirational and inspiring and beautiful. And I genuinely used to see it as something to be proud of. Whereas now I look around at it and I'm somewhat feel like it was irresponsible and irrational and unhealthy. And what I was promoting to you, and a way of life and living that I was promoting to you and showcasing to you, doesn't at all align with who I am today. When I really think about it, it's not where my true values lie. And I love beauty, and I'm always going to be drawn to beautiful things. But there is nothing I find beautiful anymore about this level of excess consumption. And I just wanted to share with you today where I'm at and how I feel. And I don't mean for this at all to come across preachy or naggy. And, we're all going through different things, and we all have a different opinion on this. And I just wanted to share with you where I'm at. And if you're not here, that's totally fine. You don't have to be here. But if you resonate with any of this and any of what I'm saying, I'd really love to hear from you, whether you do or you don't feel this way. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. So I just want to say a huge thank you for coming along with me. And if you aren't at all interested in my new chapter and this trip that I want to take you on, I completely understand. And it's okay, because 3 years ago, if I came across a video like this and I saw a complete 180 like this from somebody that I regularly watch, I'd be like, oh my God, like, this woman, she's lost her mind. This woman's on drugs. She's lost her damn mind. I can't relate. But if you still want to be here with me and keep me in check and see how this ends up and where this goes, because truthfully, I don't even know where it's going to go, I'd love to have you here. And I just want to say a huge thank you for being here. And I'll have another video here for you. If you haven't had enough of me just yet, feel free to join me over there. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for being here. Bye.